Today I'm going to show you an easy low-carb casserole that we love to make out on the road, and hopefully you will too. Today I'm going to make one of our favorites. It's a bacon cheeseburger casserole. It's low carb, it's really easy to make, and it is super yummy. I've showed this kind of in a video before. I didn't show making it, I just showed the final product, and a lot of you mentioned you would like to see me making it, so that's what we're going to do today. Make sure to check the description box down below. I will link the entire recipe that I use. It has all the ingredients and the full recipe. But today I'm going to show you how I'm going to make this casserole.
In the truck.
So what we're going to start with, we're going to start by cooking our bacon. I'm going to use this entire package. I think it calls for a ½ pound.
You can never have too much bacon.
You can never have too much bacon, that's right. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cut up and get it frying in the pan. That's our first step. I've got our bacon nice and crispy. You can see that here. I've removed it from the pan because we want to drain the grease out of the pan before we add our hamburger meat. Normally, what you could do if you're eating a low-carb diet, this bacon grease is really good to cook with. You could save this and re-cook with it, which is really good for a low-carb diet. But since I don't have anything to keep it in right now, I just keep one of these on the truck. So if there's ever any grease or anything I need to drain off, I just pour it into here. So that's what we're gonna do. Get most of that grease. We don't have to get all of it. And if there wasn't so much grease, I wouldn't have even drained it off, just because that high-fat grease is good when you're on that high-fat, low-carb diet. I probably won't drain the grease off of the grass-fed beef. We'll see how much it makes. But what we want to do now is I'm going to add my bacon back into the pan. And we're going to add our ground beef. Once we get the ground beef in there, we're going to brown it until it's cooked through, and then we'll come back and see what we need to do next. As my meat is browning, I'm going to go ahead and turn on my convection oven. We're going to preheat and cook at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. So let's get that preheating. It's getting nice and brown. Before this is all the way cooked through, I'm going to go ahead and next add my onion and garlic. Now the recipe calls for a ½ of a sweet onion. What I have today, I have a purple onion that I'm going to use up. So, but you can use whatever kind of onion you want. And then on the garlic, and as it calls for a clove of garlic. I think I've showed y'all this before. I'm going to be using this dehydrated garlic, which it's so easy to use and I love using it. So I kind of just eyeball it on the garlic. And you can rehydrate this in water if you'd like. I just let it rehydrate with the juices and the meat. And then I'm going to use all of the onion that I have here, which is probably about a ½ of a small purple onion. We're going to let this cook until our onions are translucent. Alright, so our onions are getting translucent. I'm going to turn my temperature down to low. And we're going to go ahead and do our next step, add our next ingredient. So this recipe calls for 4 tablespoons of cream cheese. I don't have any cream cheese on the truck right now, so I'm going to substitute it with sour cream, which works really well too. So we're going to do 4 tablespoons of sour cream. Next, we're going to put 2 tablespoons of ketchup. I think it calls for, what does it call for? Reduced sugar ketchup. We just have some organic ketchup. So we're going to do 2 tablespoons of that. of course your measurements don't have to be exact. You can add a little more or less to your taste. Next, we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of just plain yellow mustard. We want 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And lastly, for this step, we want 1 teaspoon of seasoned salt. And I just have an organic, all-seasoned salt that I use. So once we get all of that in, we want to combine it over low heat. And then once this is all combined, we're gonna put it in our 8x8 dish and we'll get it in the oven. So our beef mixture is all combined, as you can see here. So the next step we're gonna do is we're gonna put this into our 8x8 baking dish. I think mine might be a 9x9, but I'm gonna, if you want it to be greased, I use a coconut oil spray. So let's grease that. We're just going to pour that into our pan. Get all of that goodness in there. Now, in the recipe, it calls for you put your beef mixture and then you top it, put the bacon on top. I just did it a little different this time and put the bacon back in with the beef mixture because I don't really see a difference in it. So we're going to spread that out nice and even in your pan. It already smells good. And then we're going to set that aside. After we've got that done, we're going to combine our eggs and our heavy whipping cream. You want 4 eggs and 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. So I've just got a little paper bowl. I'm going to combine everything in. A mess. I always make a mess when I'm cracking eggs. It's inevitable. We're going to add 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream to our eggs. All right. And then we're going to whisk that all together. I just use a fork. I just find I have a whisk and I don't know why I never use it. I just use my fork. It's just, I think I've told y'all this before in something else I've made. It just, I don't know. I'm just used to doing it with a fork and it makes it, it's just easy to me. All right, that's pretty good and mixed. Once you have that nice and mixed together, our next step is to add pepper and our hot sauce. So we want 1 teaspoon of each. We're going to do 1 teaspoon of pepper and 1 teaspoon of hot sauce. You can use whatever kind of hot sauce you want. We like Cholula, so that's what I'm using today. And again, if it's a little more, that's fine too, especially if you like stuff a little more spicy. So once we've got that in our egg mixture, we're going to go ahead and mix that up, get that blended really well. Sometimes I find it hard to get the pepper blended. Maybe that's where a whisk comes in handy. I don't know. All right, that looks pretty good to me. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna just pour our egg mixture right on top of the beef mixture. Like so. Pretty simple. Get all that in there. Last step before we bake this goodness is to top it with our cheese. I'm using sharp cheddar. You can use whatever kind of cheese you want. And we're just going to top this. I just kind of top it to our taste. I mean, we like a lot of cheese, so I just kind of cover the top really good. I think it calls for 8 ounces. So There we go, and now we're going to pop this into bake. So we are all preheated and ready to go. Let's pop this baby in. It's going to cook at 350 for 30 minutes. So this looks really good. I'm going to let this cool for about 5 minutes, then we'll cut into it and show you what it looks like. So the last step before we cut into this yummy goodness is to add our dill weed. The recipe calls for fresh dill weed. I don't have fresh, I just use jar, which works perfectly fine. So I think it calls for a teaspoon, but I just shake it over the top until it looks good to me.
You are a dill weed.
I just kind of get it nice and even all over the top. There we go. It's been about 5 minutes. I've let it sit and cool, and I'm going to cut into this and show you what it looks like.
I want the big piece.
Jason always wants the big piece. So there we go. Yummy.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is the easy low-carb bacon cheeseburger casserole. Again, check the description down below for the full recipe and list of ingredients. If y'all have any questions, leave a comment down below. Find us on Facebook, email us, give this video a thumbs up if you like this recipe, and if you try it, come back in the comments and let me know how you liked it as well. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing, and until our next video, peace, love, and expediting.